Welcome back, Minecraft and YouTube. My name is Preacher. We're back for another little tutorial. Over here, I've put together 7 different little examples of build palettes. Now, we're not just going to talk about build palettes. I want to go in, we'll talk about the different build palettes. I'll give you some build palettes, but then I want to turn around and actually put some of them to use and show you how I select different build palettes. Now, first here, we have this build palette right here. Okay. Now, you'll notice inside of what I've built here, we do not just see those blocks. Okay. These are just your neutral color or your basic color of your build. After you build with these colors, then you want to come back and you want to add some accent colors and different stuff like that. Now, in this build, I've actually built with this right here before. You can actually come in and recess some decorative corners right here. Now, I did go in there and use the lapis. The sandstone is kind of a desert type block, and of course the lapis is actually was used by the pharaohs. That's what painted the King Tut's tomb. That's what painted the vibrant blue colors on his tomb. So a little bit of trivia there for you. The lapis lazuli. All right, so but inside of this, let's look at dilapidating this. Let's look at adding some textures to this a little bit. So you can come in here and to the smooth sandstone, you could add the sand block, right? And then over here on your these other kind of block type layers, we can come in there and trade out some of the regular sandstone, and that right there adds so much more texture, and begins to look like it's kind of worn a little bit, these different layers of block. And again, over here I just took some of the birch wood, stripped birch wood, and put it in there, and it gives a little bit different look. The birchwood planks you can add into the sides of your builds. Then of course you can still come in here and add in a little bit of sand to you can use this right here with gradients. Possibly you could just come in here and put these right here on the corners. That gives it a nice little look. So many different ways that you can detail your builds. The floors, one of the ways that you can add some texture to your floors if you got sandstone. The sand, of course, you can come in with sand and sandstone. I think this look makes an awesome beige carpet for modern houses and stuff. But this right here is actually just, most of you already know this. You take a stair block and place it upside down to get that rough pattern on top. Next over here we have a jungle wood, kind of the same general idea. All right, you have the jungle wood variant of the same thing that we just did over there. What I like to do is I like to take the unstripped jungle wood, and that to me is like really dark where moss and everything's kind of growed up on the wall, and then beside it is a little bit where it's not growed up as much, and then here you kind of see a little bit less deterioration, and then here would be like the terracotta wall or the stucco wall or whatnot. Okay, and so down here the stucco wall got a little wet, and so it's a little darker. It has not yet grown over with some mold and stuff. Okay, so this here is just a nice little exterior wall. Another way that you can come in here and just add color, recess you a little bit, and then put you a little bit of color behind it. And so you want to think about these things before you build, because it depends on what's behind this wall. If you put this in there and then all of a sudden you want to have an enchanting setup and you only have 3 blocks on the back side of this wall, you're not going to have enough space. So you have to have a little bit of forethought. Now here we have the white variant. All right, so a lot of stores and a lot of a lot of today's towns, we have storefronts built up, and a lot of those have a white kind of look to them. Now over here we have the whites with they have just the gray kind of undertones to all of these blocks and everything, and so you can definitely build with these. I put some additional ones over here on this side. These are white, but these also have a blue color to them, and these are here kind of have a red color or pinkish kind of background to them. And so you don't necessarily want to mix the quartz with the like the diorites and the white concrete powders and different stuff like that. Okay, so but as you build up, maybe you want to set your corners apart with some different corner blocks. Maybe you do want to maybe do a gradient of different stuff going up and down on your wall. I have a gradient on a build in one of my worlds that I started at the bottom with like some concrete powder, and by the time I got all the way to the top, well the paint had washed off, and I was just exposing some andesite at the top to make it look like all the paint had washed all the way off down to the bottom. And then again, you can also make these little recessed little places and add you some color in the background. Next up, we have the brick and granite variant. All right, so we have different ways that we can build with this. Of course, many people love to build out fireplaces with this. I got me a nice little mantle there on the fireplace with a couple of pots up there, and so that definitely looks really good. Over here, though, we built out an exterior wall. Now, from a distance, a lot of this right here is of course. It relies on perspective, what you see. From a distance, the wood planks, they look like bricks to me. Okay, they don't look too far from bricks. All right, they may be slightly larger, but they're still bricks. Okay, and so I like to add these right here. You've seen a lot of buildings that have like a darker brown color brick, or they have a lighter tan color brick, or all kinds of different other color bricks. And so I like to try to add the planks in to try to simulate a different color brick. Along with this, though, we have the terracotta blocks here. We have a red terracotta and the white terracotta. Of course, you can also get the pink terracotta that goes in there as well. But those terracotta blocks, when you mix maybe that is a pink terracotta. Nope, that's red. All right, is that white? That's white. Okay. Um, you can take these blocks and mix them in here with that as well, and you get a completely different look whenever you start doing that. So we can come in here with the red terracotta bricks and see now you've changed the look again to a completely different palette, and it's all just simply playing with these different color palettes. Okay, moving on. This is a little bit bold for my taste, but some of y'all may want to build with it. This right here is a real dark orange. I get kind of lost in here. uh, can you see me now? Can you see me now? All right. In this little section right here, all I did was I took, and this right here is almost an exact replica of our first block. This right here was being, of course, the beige color, and then this right here over being the orange color. All right. And so you get kind of the exact opposite, or a little bit different take on it. It's almost the exact same block palette, but you can come in here, and what I did with this is I actually made a hole in the wall. All right. I made a hole in the wall and then I boarded it up. Some of y'all have seen this right here, me do this before in some of my other builds. And so um, this right here you could also work in as maybe something that hasn't been necessarily, it's not dingy. This right here is dingy from the Latin dingetta. It needs to be washed. And so in many different ways, those are just the first five. I wanted to talk to you a little bit more about how we pick out these block palettes. Okay, I know we've seen in a lot of different people use a lot of different block palettes, and we haven't really seen a whole big tutorial on how to pick out a block palette. Now, the one of the big things that I like to consider, and I have a different world where I have a similar setup to this. One of the things that I like to consider in my build is what kind of detail am I going to be putting on this world in the end. All right. That plays a big role in what I pick out for a block palette. Like, let's see this right here. In this build right here, we have some fence blocks. We have our corner, the sand blocks, and we have these fence posts up here. And now if I'm going to do that in my build, then I need to understand that, hey, I need to build with something, a color that's going to match up with a block that has a fence post. Okay. Or if I'm using a wall block in my build, I need to be able to build with a block that has a wall block. So if you go into creative mode and you just simply type in wall, now you have all your wall blocks. All right. And so if you're going to build with wall blocks, make sure you build with a color palette that does not conflict with the the wall blocks that are available. All right, that's going to limit your builds a whole lot. Um, a lot of times you see a lot of different players, they'll build a lot larger structures, and that's fine, and they can get by without using the wall blocks and different stuff like that there to add the different depth because they go so big. And that's fine. And later, we may do another tutorial about like that, okay? But in this right here, I don't know if you've seen me do this right here before. I got a nice, I mean, a really awesome over the top corner piece here that we use to kind of decorate this corner. Then we come in here, we actually put in a bay window. So that's a kind of a cool way to use the wall blocks to be able to offset that bay window. And then of course we come across here with the fence posts and everything to give it a little bit of look. Now in this right here, you cannot use the fence gate. Okay, if you use the gate, if you use the gates like you typically do here, then you end up with this strange little offset thing right here on the corner, and so it doesn't really look really well like it normally does. Now, speaking of the fence gate, we actually did use that on this build. Now, you can't really see it from me being up there eyeball level with it, but being down here, you look at it, you get to see the shadows and different things like that. This right here is a very clean build. I actually use this right here to build a church in a different world, and so you have the recessed. A lot of times in today's houses and different stuff like that there, your underpinning block, they are recessed, and so your house kind of hangs over the edge a little bit there on the bottom. And so then your corner post here, we got the nice decorative outside corner. If you've ever seen some beige color siding on a building, then you'll see the white fascia, the white soffits, the white corners pieces, all of that good stuff. And so that's kind of what we tried to mimic a little bit with this one. And then of course, we see the roof. I love the deep slate for the new roof tiles. This right here looks like a very clean roof. Uh, and so don't know what I was doing there. Okay. That looks better. All right. And so anyhow, we added this little front walkway. This is right here is a very clean build to me. There's not a whole lot of dilapidation or anything done to it, and I kind of like that. We did a stair block, an upside down stair block here for the floors on the interior. That's to keep this wall block here from connecting. If it connects, then it'll leave these awful little uh, post every single time you you connect another piece of wall. Okay, and so over here though, let's look at this right here real fast. A lot of times when you make these nice little decorative corners, a lot of times you're not going to see them unless you put a contrasting color up in there behind it. All right, so you want to put some different colors and different things to make those corners and everything pop out. But again, that all comes down to what color blocks did you pick for your build. So if you're going to do a either a suburban build, or you call it suburban, or it's hard for me not to call it modern because modern means today, but modern in Minecraft means futuristic, and so so when you start out and start picking out your block palette, like your block colors, make sure you pick out your block type as well. Whether or not you're going to be using walls or stairs or slabs, make sure you pick those things out as well. When you start to build with your different blocks and everything, you might think, well, I'll build with the calcite block. And the calcite block looks really good. I'm not trying to take anything away from the calcite block. But when you get done building with the calcite block, you know, what are you going to do as far as like stairs or what are you going to do right here in the corner? There's no walls to pull that corner out with. There's no stairs, there's no slabs. You're very limited now that you pick the calcite block to build with the additional blocks that you're going to use to decorate with. So when you go to pick your block palette, the end of it is that you have to not just consider the color of the block, but also the shape of the block. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed this little tutorial. It was kind of short and sweet and to the point. I hope maybe you got some ideas for a block palette that you want to put together in your build. But or maybe you learned a little bit more about how to pick out a block palette. And either way, I hope I've encouraged you to be a little bit more creative in your world. My name is Preacher. If I don't see you again, I hope to see you in heaven.